Okay. Um, sorry. Can you pop your name in the chat box if you're here, so I know who's who. Trying something a bit different today, as you can see, so you're not going to get the usual. Here's filming of a screen. This is literally a proper screencast now. So pop your name in the chat box if you can hear me. Hello. So yeah, please just pop your name in the chat box. Can you just say whether you can hear me as well? Because I'm running this off 2 screens. It's kind of complicated. I've done this before. Hey Katerina, hey Evie. I hope you're all well. Iona, good to see you. So can I just get confirmation from somebody that they can hear me speak? All right, pop that in the chat box for me, because I can't see my my inputs because I'm running this on 2 different screens. Hello, Alvin. Hello, Sully. Hello, hello. Can't hear. Brilliant. That was the confirmation I was looking for. So, okay, cool. So I'm gonna do 3 things today. Number 1, I'm gonna just do kind of like the news. I feel like I'm running Top Gear. Yeah, I'll do a little bit of news. I'll show you something useful that you're going to need potentially, probably wherever you work in terms of mathematics. And we'll play Kahoot as well. That was the whole point of doing all this. Hello, hello. So good you can all hear me. That's excellent. That's brilliant. That's awesome. Okay, so what will you need for today? So if you check your email, you sent a pack and you sent up a lookup table. I will explain how all that stuff works. You need pen and paper today. It's good to have 2 screens today. Okay, you're not the only one. I'm not the only one, rather, that's going to need 2 screens. You might as well. But if you can't, all it is, you'll miss out on the Kahoot. The world will not end. Okay, so let's do the news quickly, and then we can get on with the lesson. Remember, this Thursday, there aren't any lessons. It's 1-to-1's the second round. I'll catch up with each one of you individually. But if you didn't get one last week, you get one this week. Nice and simple. All right? And all it is if you look at the Microsoft Teams chat, basically, I'm just going to ask you, how are you? What are your plans for next year? How can we best support you? And give you any advice and support that you might want. On that, a couple of things that came out of last week's. Some people asked for help with their CVs, etc. If you send me your CV, tomorrow I have nothing to do. Okay? Well, I've got stuff to do, but I haven't got any lessons. So if you want your CV done up really nicely, send me a copy of your CV and I'll really make it look good. I'll make it barrister quality, don't worry, all right? So if that's something that you want to have happen for you, and there's a couple of people that asked that. The second one, a little bit more worryingly, was people saying that they were starting to feel depressed, they were starting to feel downhearted, starting to feel, negative. And I fully understand that, because me too. Like, since about Friday, it's kind of like sunk in that, I'm going to be here for another few weeks. You just need to reach out for help, reach out for support, okay? And that can be me. It can be other people. It doesn't have to be me. But what I'm saying to you is, don't just kind of sit in your room and brood. If you feel like your head's going down, you feel like, reach out for help before it gets, to the point where you can't bear it anymore. And as I said, I'm here for you guys. So you can pop up to me. But you can also pop up to any other person that you feel comfortable and safe around. And that's fine. So don't let it get to you. And the last bit of chat before we do stuff is, there's been much more talk about things like lockdown ending, Just keep your focus on lockdown for the time being. We'll see how it plays out. My guess would be things will start happening in June, but it's a guess, same as anyone else. Right, so I'm going to look at my screen and see if anyone's popped up on the chat. I'm a G, am I? Good to know. Right, cool. Let's do the Kahoot. Right, this is almost your last time to beat me. So bring your A game, my dudes. Right. We see how the lack of magic here works. Boom, Kahoot, play. I don't have any questions, is this? Yes, thank you. Right, I'm playing too. Come on, let's see who can take me on. So hopefully it will start popping up on your screen in a few seconds. Oh, I've just realised your screen lags. None of you guys are going to be able to beat me, because your screen kind of lags. So don't worry if you come second, because literally I'm already stuck it on and you guys are just catching up to me. Alright, let's see how well this works, alright? If it doesn't work, we'll do something else. There is some serious maths, if anyone's wondering, is he just come here to play Kahoot because he's feeling lonely? Well, partially guilty as charged. But I've got some serious maths I want to support you with, which I hope will carry you through. It's something I still use. In fact, It's very relevant to, well, you'll see it in a minute. Right, so the Kahoot number is up. We have Evie already. How did you get there faster than I am? I'll be looking at my chat. Alright, Kahoot it is. We have Evie logged on. Even though it doesn't say on the screen, Evie, you are logged on. I've got Aish. I love that actually now stuck. I'm taking credit for that. Aish, that's a thing. Okay, let's play. Joyful Tiger. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna say you can't, but play who you are. I've got Cap. 6, 8, 6. Got Karl Marx. Well, he's gonna go the way of all communists, I think. Well, if you're Karl Marx, I'm Adam Smith. Right? There you go. It's gonna be Karl Marx versus Adam Smith. Alex, Oliver. We've got 8 people, so it still looks like you've got 4 on your screen. I've got 8. I think that's... Why is the internet lag that badly when it's literally so close? I don't know. That's weird. Maybe because I've paused the screen like a moron. I hate this thing. I need this to show accurately what things are doing. And it's not, you know. I hate my tablet sometimes. I've got 10 people. I'm going to hang around it for another 30 seconds. Just keep touching your screen to refresh it, alright? Because that way, otherwise you will log out. Turn off the Kahoot music. I can't hear it. I actually can't hear it yet. Let me see if you can hear it. Okay, you can hear it. It's silent on my computer. No, that's muting the lobby. You may want to just mute whatever thing you've got then at that point. Somebody's got vulnerable. I don't want to meet any vulnerable people. Right, we've got 10 players. I'm going to start in about 30 seconds. Do or die. Okay, I think that's about what we're going to get. Has that worked? Superb. Okay, cool. I've now muted it. Oh, for flip's sake. Yeah, I agree with Alex. I think it is a masterpiece. Right. Okay. Let's see how this works. Integration is. Well, what is integration? I mean, yeah, I see that. I'm watching it on the other screen. This may not work. I know it's a bit at this point. Right, cool. Well, at least Adam Smith is beating Karl Marx, and that is the thing. Yeah, I think the problem is. I think this literally works for... Yeah, let's try one more, see what happens. Try one more, let's see what happens. I think this works for about 6 people, and I don't think it works for anyone else. It works a bit, yeah. This is not ideal, is it? There must be a better way to do this. Give me a second, I'll have a little think. I'll put it on play, see what happens. Is there a better way of doing this? No, there isn't. There really isn't. I better answer the question now. Yeah, I think I'm going to give up on this in a second. What do we think? Pop in the chat box. Do you want us to give up on this? Is this not working for people? Is it working for people? Because I reckon it's working for about 6 people out of however many we're in this room. I'm vulnerable to lose miserably. I mean, yeah. So yeah, pop in the chat box if you want this to die, and I'll figure out something else. Well, I know what we're going to do next anyways. We're going to do some work. But like, if this is dying on you, and it's not, put it this way, if it's not working on you, can you type that in the chat so I know who's it working for and who is it not working for? Right now I'm unstoppable, but I've got a bit of a home advantage. It's not working anymore. All right, let this die then. Let this die. Let it die. It's enough. I'll see if I can figure out how to make it work faster for next time. Let's just pop this back here. I mean, I won, clearly. You are not playing, it's not working for you, can't really answer. And I disconnected. Yeah, that's because I disconnected it at this point. What you should see, hopefully in a few seconds, is the PowerPoint come back. Yeah, maybe, yes, no. Stupid machine. Well, it shows me how laggy we are anyways. Okay, Kahoo, we'll try again. Not today, but I'll try and make that work for you. And the problem is latency. It's like 6 or 7 seconds latent. Or more than that, really. Okay, cool. So what you're going to need for today, take a minute out and find the stuff. You would need check your email. You've got a work pack and a lookup table. And you should have pen and paper. That's what you're going to need for today. You can put aside the other item now. So if you're borrowing, like, your sister or brother's laptop and give it back to them, you don't need that anymore. But all you'll need is a screen, pen and paper. Yeah, I mean, I think that's about right for most people. Even me, who's got the tablet sitting next to the laptop, it's about 25 seconds. I'm sorry about that. I will figure out a better way, or a better game, or something. Okay, but it just won't be today. Okay? So what you should be doing now, grab your email, check your email, download both of the documents. One's a work pack, one's a lookup table, and you need pen and paper. And then I'm going to talk you through all of this. The pack looks like this. Here it is. It's the chi-squared test. I'll explain what it is, what we're doing, and all the rest of that fun stuff. Okay? Let's see if I can make that a bit bigger. We will see that quite well. Relatively well. Rightio. What the hell is this doing now? I will. Yeah, I'm going to have a meeting with Ed tomorrow, actually. So yeah, there's no reason why I couldn't do that. So this is what we're looking at. You've got this document already. It's also attached with it was the PowerPoint, which is just one slide, and the lookup table, and I'll show you what that is. Okay, cool. Let's move on. One of the things that you haven't even done it yet. I mean, how can you possibly complain? Good that some people have actually done it. I mean, it's good that you've done chi-squared in biology, and you haven't done it in maths yet. Okay, cool. One of the things that everyone, does almost like irrespective of what work they're doing these days, has to have a basic idea of certain statistics. As long as I mean, even teachers, your grades, to break one example, is going to be the result of a statistical model. And then that model will get tested by other people, and then it'll get tested by Ofqual. So, like, an idea of an understanding of statistics is super, super important. All right? And one of the most famous and most common tests is something called the chi-square test. What is chi? Chi is just a Greek letter. It sort of looks like an X. Okay? And it's used to test whether our hypotheses are true or not. All right? So all that stuff about null and alternate hypothesis is still true. Yeah? So that's all still there. I read the PowerPoint, I got anxiety. Why? You didn't get an email, that's a bit more worrying. Let me see what I can do about that. Why didn't you get an email? Weird. I'll send it to you now. So, for example, if I did a new thing in teaching, they would ask me to do a statistical test to see whether it's changed anything, whether it's made a difference. All right? So you'd be expected to do that almost literally whatever job you're doing. There you go, here, I've sent to you now. Okay, cool. So the example that's used in the pack is whether there's a difference between whether young children, both male and female, in their preference of what toy they'd choose to play with. All right? So what's happened is they've got 30 children, 15 male, 15 female, and they were asked to choose which toy would they like to play with. So they were given a car and given a soft toy. And they choose one of them, and whichever one was the one they chose to play with first is their preferred toy. Okay? So if you look at the first table, so I've just read you what the experiment thing blurb says in the file. If there were no difference between boys and girls, you'd expect the preferences to be no different. So 15 males and 15 females would both choose car, 15 males and 15 females would choose the soft toy. It's a total of 60, sorry, it's a total of 60 people. Yeah? 30 boys and 30 girls, 60 people total. Does that make sense? So our null hypothesis here would be that there's no difference between the two. If we said something different, if we said our null hypothesis is that there are such things as gender roles in society, then you get something that looks like the second table. Let me expand the second table so you can see that a little bit better. So if we believe in the concept of gender roles, or if we believe they exist, whether we believe they're the right thing or not, I'm not giving a kind of a value judgment on it. I'm saying, well, do we think they even exist? Then your table will look like this. 30 boys pick the car, 30 girls pick the soft toy. I mean, it won't be that extreme, let's be real, but you know, that would be the far end. And if it was the other way around, if it was the female, if we believed that the female gender role was to play with the car and the male gender role was to play with the soft toy, you'd see the 30 switch. All right? So what both of those tables were showing us, or what those things were something called expected values. Expected values are values that we'd expect to see if our hypothesis is true. All right? Right. If you now move on to the second thing, you now look on the second sheet of paper, what you've got there is a method for doing the chi-square test. And later on today, I'm going to move away from the YouTube video here, and I'm going to do a worked example for you. But for now, let's just follow this. So this is page 2 of the pack. The chi-square test can tell you if your results are significant. Once you've got a chi-squared value, you need to calculate certain things. Yeah? And number one thing is, well, actually, let's get the chi-squared value first. We need to work out what that is. Boom, 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 boom. So chi-squared formula is this, right? And the chi-squared formula, the point of it doing it is going to tell us whether we can believe, just like before, our null and alternate hypothesis, which one we're taking. Sorry about how this is moving around. It's not ideal. There we go. So here's your formula. So the weird looking X thing, chi-squared, sigma observed minus expected squared over expected. All right? And this value is going to tell us whether we should believe our null hypothesis, accept it, or reject it, right? And what we're going to do is compare what happened in real life with what we think should have happened if our hypothesis was true. Hello, Louis. Okay? And don't worry if you're thinking, okay, I don't really like the way this is being taught at the moment. Looks like I'd rather see like an example done. I am going to do an example for you. I'm just taking you through the pack now. What I'll do is I'll disconnect from this YouTube and start another live stream in the old style and do your worked examples. You can see how this is done. But for now, we're just going through the notes and we're taking notes. Yeah? So this is the formula of the chi-squared. All right? We know what sigma means. Sigma just means add them up. O stands for observed, so what actually happened. E stands for expected, what we thought would happen, and then we're dividing obviously by E, so that's fine. All right. Right, so as I said to you before, the chi-squared tells you whether your results are significant. Why do we care about significance? Because if something's significant, that means we can reject our null hypothesis. All right? Okay? Ooh, lovely. Now, the third worksheet is nothing but questions. So what I'm suggesting I'm going to do is now disconnect from this YouTube live stream and then go back to the old school live stream where I do like written stuff on the whiteboard. All right? And then you can see an actual mathematical example of this, see how it's done, and then you can go, okay, cool, this is how I can do calculations. Then you can go away and practice this skill. Now, why am I making such a fuss? And this lesson and next lesson are going to be focused on statistical techniques because in real life, that's the only maths I've ever done outside of obviously teaching it. Whether you're working in banking, whether you're working in engineering, whether you're working in computer science, people are going to ask you, are the things that you're saying just, are they true, and what evidence have they got? So let me give you an example. Suppose Katerina becomes a head of translation at the United Nations, all right? And she wants to work out which one of her translators she should fire. She's going to ask each one of them, okay, can you provide evidence that your translations are good? How many mistakes are you making? Da, 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 da. And everyone's going to lie to you. Everyone who works for is going to lie to you. Like, if, I don't know, the head teacher pulls me into the office and goes, are they, like, the stuff you're doing in your class effective? Of course I'm going to say yes. I'm not going to say no, am I? So you need to have mathematical tools at your disposal to be able to analyze, especially if you're a manager of anything, yeah? To be able to analyze whether the things that people are saying to you are true. If I tell you I'm an outstanding teacher, yet only 5% of my class are getting passes, or if you'd expect that more people, from what I'm saying, more people are passing that aren't, you need some kind of statistical technique to go, well, I'd expect this to happen, but it hasn't. Why is this not happening? Why you know what I mean? So in almost any kind of managerial job, yeah, if you're becoming an artist, this is kind of by the by. But a lot of you guys like are going to end up doing various degrees, but will end up, kind of feeding that system, like the graduate stuff, the graduate entry system, whatever. So like even someone who might be doing history, you might end up working in Goldman Sachs, and then you'll be back to this stuff again. Like you have to be able to tell whether something's useful or not. Okay, I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to be back in about 3 minutes. It took me like 3 minutes to open up another YouTube channel, another YouTube live stream. So just wait for the new thing to start, okay? It's the same formula as biology, yeah. It is. Right, I'm off. I'll be back in about 3 minutes. Boom.